Hey guys, hey YouTube, this is Kyle, aka Vulcan Wolverine, aka Vulcan Wolverine 2. It is it's about 7:10, 7:15 Central Time, PM in Louisiana, May 20, start date, start date May 28th, 2019. Before I get started, what I wanted to do today is I just wanted to, I kind of touched on some consumer technologies, technologies being created by MIT, technologies, well, not being created. They're saying that MIT is developing these technologies. They're saying Google is developing these technologies. They say that Facebook is developing mind reading technologies, and there's a lot of different specific kinds that really vindicate what targeted individuals have been saying. Now, they're lying about how this technology is coming out, but I wanted to go through some of those articles today because I had touched on it on my live stream, and there's just so many articles about it. It completely vindicates what we're saying because we've been saying that this could be done remotely for many, 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 many years, and now like Google, Facebook, MIT, and small groups of people are saying, oh, they just invented this. So I wanted to go through some of those articles today. But first, really important, guys, probably all of you guys that are watching my video have seen on Ella F's channel, Dr. Matthew Aaron has edited together a lot of the Sacramento rally. He's made a great compilation and some of the other rallies that were going on in the world during the springtime rally. It's a great little documentary, and just showing what they were doing at the rally, showing some of the speeches. So I don't know if there's anybody watching my videos that hasn't seen this, but I saw it this morning. My defenses are working pretty good, but I still have V2K. I'm still targeted. It still makes me tired. It still makes my mind just keep going and going, and it's just really exhausting still. So I woke up this morning. I was like, oh, another day of sitting in my condo trying to think of what to do next, right? Um, and I, pulled up YouTube on my phone and I saw this. I said it came out like 2 days ago, but I just saw it. Immediately texted it to my mom, and it just gave me goosebumps and really inspired me. And I was like, oh, this is hope. This is what hope feels like. So I know what we need to give us hope, and what we need to let people know that this is happening. And this is definitely it. So if any targeted individuals or non-targeted individuals that watch my videos, if you can go over to LF's channel, give this video a watch. We Are Targeted Individuals, FFTI's feature film about global TI springtime rally. I'm gonna get on my secondary channel and also give it a like. Let's get this up and out in YouTube. Give it as many likes. If you have two channels, give it a like from each channel. Non-target individual channels, if you're coming by and watching my videos, please go give this a like. People need to see this. People need to see targeted individuals speaking out. We've had enough. We've had enough of this awful non-consensual torture and rape and all this satanic stuff that's going on in our society. And this targeting is happening to many children too, who can't speak out, and their parents put them in mental institutions for the rest of their lives when they're just being attacked by weapons. So this is huge. It's so important. So everybody that's a targeted individual, I know you'll go over there and give it a like. So it's just really important. Really inspired me this morning. I was gonna make a video anyway, but this gave me some hope, and I'm like, we're getting a lot of movement. People are understanding that this is happening. I don't think that a lot of people know what to do, but as long as we just keep speaking out, that will come. The solutions will come. God will find us a way through this. So I just wanted to let y'all know about that if you hadn't seen it, and then I wanted to go over some articles that I kind of touched on. During my live stream. I actually was doing a video. I was doing a video before this one, and that little box down there that you just saw, like it opened up on the screen and I couldn't get it to go away, and I was like cussing, and I was like, oh, and I had to do the video over again. I hate these websites. I hate how they deluge you with all these pop-ups and ads and stuff like that. And a lot of these articles you'll see, I don't know, I might get a subscription to one of them that's coming out with a lot of technology articles about stuff that really vindicates us. And it's not, and people that are targeted individuals, you'll understand this, that these people are lying. Like the person making this article may really believe that this mind reading tech has just been developed. They may believe that. It's a possibility. I doubt it. But the military industrial complex, these contractors, hospitals and universities working with contractors, and also private corporations, have been working on mind reading technology and experimenting on non-consensually on citizens in every country for since at least the 1950s. But they're saying, oh, we've just developed it now. So be careful about the mainstream narrative of this stuff is just here now, and understand that they're doing some stuff where you have a headset or whatever, but they can do all these things remotely. And they've been doing them remotely for a long time. This is a trickle-out effect. This is a trickle-out effect where they're like, okay, well, we're going to give the public a little bit of what we've been doing for a long time, and we've been doing it better and from way far away, but we can't let the public know that. We're going to trickle out some of these things into the consumer market. There's some hopeful stuff about this. There's some very, very hopeful stuff about this. But let me go ahead and read this one. I think I read this one on my live stream, so I might not read it all. And I'm definitely going to put all these articles in the description, but I wanted to get them out. There's so many of them, And let me start reading it, and I'll talk about it a little bit more. So mind reading tech is here and more useful than you think. It's horrifying, and when it's used non-consensually, it's horrifying. Reading brain waves was useless until AI got involved. Now mind reading has real-world practical applications. And this is from Computer World by Mike Elgin. It's from April 7th, 2018. So a lot of this stuff is just coming out recently. Here's a thought. Mind reading software is not only ready for commercial use, but it will actually be a practical use in everyday business applications. But wait, you say, that's creepy, invasive, and useless. I would say it's creepy, invasive, and horrifying genocidal torture if you knew exactly how the military-industrial complex was non-consensually raping people for their whole lives with this mind reading technology. Yes. Read this column though, and you just might change your mind about that. I probably won't because this article is a lie. And there's going to be some editorializing because I'm angry about like all these technologies coming out, and there's this huge lie around it, like it was just created. And you guys can go back and watch some of my videos where I'm like, oh, my voice to skull is responding to my inner voice thoughts. Before any of this evidence, before any of these new consumer products came out and said, oh, with a headset we can read inner voice thoughts, and with photons, which electromagnetic frequencies create photons, can decipher what you're going to say next from the language center of your brain. So they can do it a couple of different ways. But targeted individuals were saying this many years ago. And we're talking about how our V2K is responding to our inner voice, and the mind manipulation and all this stuff, and how our attackers know certain things because they show us that they know certain things. That seems like mind reading, which pretty much is mind deciphering or whatever you want to call it. And if you do, your gadgets will know. The missing ingredient. Futurists have predicted mind reading technology for years, and while the detection of brainwave patterns has been possible for decades, since the 1950s. The United States was using it in Project Moonstruck, which is an article where that's really weird. There's a thing that they say, the title of the article is very wink wink nod nod, and while the detection of brainwave patterns has been possible for decades, the missing ingredient was the ability to interpret them. For the consumer market, yes, but not for the military industrial complex experimenting on on citizens around the world. they're just trickling it out now into these consumer markets, and that's how things work. Like the military-industrial complex will still hold on to it. They won't like let everybody have it. They'll just trickle it out a little bit at a time, and they won't let people know the full story. But these technologies, with their existence, and if somebody can get a headset to read their inner voice, or to actually decipher a visual image out of their head, or what they're going to say next out of their language center, if they have that headset, or they know that they can buy that as a consumer product, they can no longer, when we say, hey, my attackers are reading my inner voice, they're hitting me with electromagnetic frequencies, fields, and microwaves, they can no longer say, oh, well, that just sounds crazy, because it's in the consumer market. You can buy a headset to do it. So it's a very hopeful thing. I think there's obviously an evil side to it. We know there's an evil side to all this, because we're targeted non-consensually with this stuff, where if people buy this headset, who knows if stuff can't be pumped back in, just like they can do to us remotely. They can pump stuff back in. Not only can it do readouts, it can also go the other way. And they're not gonna say that to me. They're not gonna tell people that. And people will, a lot of the public, because they're stupid. And I'm sorry about it. Let me say it louder. A lot of the public, because they're stupid, won't understand that actually things can be pushed back. You know, that was a little joke, because you thought I was gonna say sorry. I don't mean to call the public stupid, but then I did that. You see. Okay, so and while the detection of brainwave patterns has been possible for decades, the missing ingredient was the ability to interpret them. But now, thanks to artificial intelligence, AI, and machine learning, we can finally know what's going on inside people's minds. And they've been doing this for decades. They've been doing this for decades to people non-consensually. So it's not a new thing. Maybe the guy writing this article thinks it's a new thing, but it's not. It's not. And the people who are developing, or who are putting it out in the consumer market, people from Google who are connected to DARPA, they're connected to DARPA, and then MIT, which they're connected to the military-industrial complex, too. They know that it's not just coming out, but they create scenarios. They create propaganda and scenarios in a little story, a cute little story, right? Like Apple Computer. This makes me think of Apple Computer. It's just some dudes in their garage, right? Just some dudes in their garage came up with a personal computer, and that's not true. And that's not true. And neither is it with this. So so it just went down. What just happened here with the article? Okay, so but now, thanks to artificial intelligence and machine learning, we can finally know what's going on inside people's mind. So further reading, AI and speech advances bring virtual assistants to work. So I guess there's another article about that. The general process is this. Researchers have developed software that takes readouts from people's brains and matches them to words or pictures. Once mapped, future readouts can be read, interpreted, and used for various kinds of mind revealing or mental control applications. Now that's how our attackers read images from our mind. They have like a certain digital pattern that correlates with what their previous experimentation has said that image, the certain EEG that image creates in your mind, and so then they can translate that image onto a screen. For example, MIT geniuses have invented a face-mounted device plus a machine learning application that performs real-time speech-to-text conversion, but without the speech part. I'd better explain that. Electrodes on the device intercept neuromuscular signals sent by the brain to the face. So the brain's, like you have when you're thinking an inner voice thought, your throat and your jaw are making these tiny minuscule movements. Like say I was just thinking I need to go feed my dog, and I wasn't moving my mouth or saying it, there'd be little imperceptible movements in the muscles in my jaw and my face and my throat. So they have the headset that can pick that up. Just like our attackers do it, Now, when targeted individuals talk about our inner voice being read, it's by electromagnetic fields around that area. And for the first couple of years when I was massively started to be targeted, my attackers would just pump electromagnetic energy into my throat, like it was choking, burning my throat, because they were trying to get in tune with all those muscles and nerves in my throat. So there's, they can use electrodes, but electrodes have an like a little electrical pulse. Electromagnetic frequencies, electromagnetic fields can also pick it up the same way. So electrodes on the device intercept neuromuscular signals sent by the brain to the face, and the machine learning application transcribes them into text. It replaces vocalization with subvocalization or silent speech. Researchers use a neural network to match specific neuromuscular signals with specific words. Each person's physiology is different. The researchers were able to achieve 92% accuracy after 15 minutes of customization and training. Now, in the military-industrial complex, with these contractors and subcontractors working with hospitals and universities under the DoD, with the CIA, the DIA, they've got probably 100% accuracy, because it's advanced technology that they're not going to give out to the public. They're going to trickle out we got a 92% accuracy with some electrodes, but they've got it to where they can put an electromagnetic field around that area, around your whole entire head, and they can pretty much get 100% accuracy on the visual that's in your visual space. The device also provides bone conduction output. That means you could make requests of a virtual assistant and get results audibly only to you, all without the knowledge of people sitting right in front of you. This is a surprising use for mind-reading technology, because it doesn't read thoughts in general, only instructions sent from the brain to the face to speak, even if actual speaking doesn't audibly or visually occur. But the thing is, it may not read minds exactly, but translation is just as good as reading it. Because if they're taking signals, even like they're doing this with subvocalization, but then there's also some ones where they're using photons, they're using electrodes to actually, and targeted individuals know about this intimately because it's done remotely on us, but they can take signals from the language center of the brain and translate it into what your inner voice is going to say with 100% accuracy. With enough accuracy to get what you're saying or what you're visualizing. So read, you might as well say read, because translate is just as good. They're translating signals to create an image on a screen of what you're visualizing, or what your next words are going to be, or what your inner voice is going to be. Also, it merely takes an existing behavior, spoken and audible interaction with a virtual assistant, and makes it silent and invisible, thereby increasing the range of situations where one could use a virtual assistant. Let me see. He's saying how it's used in the business world. I'm not interested in that. I just wanted to show y'all, that they're writing about this technology, a bunch of different, Google, MIT, Facebook, and then this other group that I'll show y'all, they're all saying that they've just found this out. Like, they've just created it. And we all know, right? You think, and non-TIs, targeted individuals, it's bullcrap that this hasn't just been created independently. Non-TIs, do you really think that the military-industrial complex didn't figure out something that some people in a garage, or Google, because Google's connected to the military-industrial complex, so you don't think that DARPA figured this out way before these people just invented it? It's like an obvious lie. It's an obvious lie. DARPA, the CIA, the DIA, the DoD, and then all these, the subcontractors and contractors are using mass manufactured integrated weapon systems, so not a lot of them necessarily came up with the ideas, but DARPA and the DIA definitely came up with these things way before. Way before. Like in the 1950s, they were coming up with implanting people and then sending microwave signals to them. Project Moonstruck, 1952, which was the year that the APA created the DSM-1, which mentioned if you think the government's following you or hitting you with anything, you're crazy. So the programs, the United States program started right when the DSM-1 was written. 2 in the DSM-1, but it was written so that if anybody tried to get help, then psychiatrists could put them away. We live in a shit world, so I mean I'm not surprising anybody with that. But the lies of just the deceit has gotten out of hand, like out of hand. It's gotten out of hand. The lies and the shit and the evil have gotten out of hand. A video shows just how well this could work. Of course, the device itself looks ridiculous. Nobody's going to wear this in public. What's important about this research is its proof that subvocalization can be a computer interface. Scientists at the University of California, San Francisco have created a mind reading device that also turns mental activity into text with better than 90% accuracy. And they definitely didn't create it. It was trickled out through the military-industrial complex. These were not independent inventors coming up with this. The military-industrial complex has had it for years and years. So I'm going to stop repeating that, but we should all understand that. We should all understand that all this stuff targeted individuals have been saying has been done remotely to them for so many years, and now do you think well, I mean, I'm not even going to go there because we know this is happening. We know people are being targeted. I always feel a pang to justify it and say, like, does a schizophrenic person have that good of an imagination where they read the future? No. So instead of understanding the words a person is self-vocalizing, it can detect what that person is hearing with brain activity alone. So through the auditory cortex, which I think that remote neural monitoring does that. It can get what we're hearing from signals in our auditory cortex, but it's done remotely. And there are implants, and there's smart dust and nanotechnology, so it's a signal sent to those things that may be subdermal or in nerve clusters too. But a lot of this is done with electromagnetic fields around the head, and I'm talking about what's been done to target individuals for so long, which now they're trickling out and saying, oh, we can do it with a headset. We can do it with a headset, but we haven't gotten to that. But watch, in a couple of years, they're going to be like, oh, we can do this remotely, because there's a plan to make people think, oh, we haven't had this and it just came out. Seeing this, I'm a little bit confused because I always thought, like, okay, these people, everybody's going to know this technology exists and they're going to just have to say it was being done. But I mean, I think that they're such liars and such egotists that they will try and keep this covered up forever and act like it never existed and that we were never tortured. Even when the technology comes out, they'll try and say, just make us go away, which ain't going to happen. So, okay, look. At least he's being honest here. And the science was a bit gruesome. So instead of understanding the words a person is subvocalizing, it can detect what that person is hearing with brain activity alone. The science was a bit gruesome. The science is a bit gruesome. You got that wrong. He's saying, because he's going to talk about psychosurgery and how older people doing psychosurgery were figuring out about the brain. But these experiments since MK Ultra have continued, and it may not be called MK Ultra to the people doing it, but it's like MK Ultra from afar, and it's more and more people are pulled into it every day, and it's gruesome, and it's happening right now. And this article is like talking about the technology that's trickling out, but lying about the whole situation. The researchers took advantage of a kind of epilepsy treatment whereby electrodes are implanted directly on the surface of the brain. Scientists used those electrodes for a second purpose, which was to monitor brain waves in the auditory cortex. They took that data and used algorithms to decode the specific speech sounds as they were being heard by the subject. It's the first step toward creating an externally worn gadget that can be used to convert thoughts to text, either perceived or produced speech. Carnegie Mellon University research has found ways to read complex thoughts based on brain scans and output text accordingly. And Carnegie Mellon University didn't figure it out. They may actually, Carnegie Mellon may be a university, and also the California University. They may be connected, to these contractors. So the universities that are connected to these programs and the private contractors and subcontractors, they get to say that they, because they're working along with the contractors on this experimentation, so they get to say they developed it, just in a university setting. So I think that's how that works. Carnegie Mellon University research has found ways to read complex thoughts based on brain scans and output text accordingly. The university study demonstrated that complex thinking could enable its AI to predict the next sentence in the thought process. Even Facebook has a mind-reading project in the works. The social networking company Secret of Building 8 division is working on a way for users to send Facebook Messenger messages using thoughts alone. Microsoft, ever the user interface company, was granted patents last year for interfaces that use brain activity to change the state of a computer or applications. So, do you remember, guys, when I'm making all these videos and saying they want a neuro society, like our system wants a neuro society, and all these contractors and the DoD and then all these military industrial complex, they want a neuro society where you can blink or you can think and turn on your computer, you can connect to your computer. Targeted individuals have been saying this for so long, and it's happening, and it's being trickled out and lied about how it's happening. But everything that targeted individuals, just remember the saying, and I can't say this for all conspiracy theorists. Targeted individuals aren't conspiracy theorists, sorry. But I've heard one guy on the news one time, and he's talking about the World Trade Organization. He's like, oh, and in this, the World Trade Organization is doing all this stuff. The conspiracy theorists were right. And usually when it's like a very serious situation, you got a group of very smart people saying something, and they're called conspiracy theorists, they're usually right. They're usually right, and we learn that in the future. Let's get this down fast. Let's speed up stopping this and understanding that people are being tortured and raped all around the world. I don't consider us conspiracy theorists, though. So it's just it's a very important issue that's happening to everybody. It's going to affect everybody's lives, not just the group of targeted survivors, targeted individuals, survivors of non-consensual human experimentation. This is affecting the whole world as we speak, and is such an important subject, and is not just something that is affecting a small group of people at all. So Microsoft, okay, so we read that. One example is to turn down the volume of music based on the mental activity of being irritated by loud noise. It could be used for any number of Microsoft-related products, from enhancing the accuracy of a mouse to enabling next-level applications in the company's HoloLens mixed reality system. Mind-reading research is also making gains in reading visuals, not just words. Targeted individuals have been saying this for a long time. They can remotely, or with implants, nanotechnology, smart dust, with electromagnetic fields, with focused bidirectional streams of electromagnetic energy that create photons. They can already read what you got in your visual cortex or translate it out onto a remote platform. So they're already doing this to people. And I know I'm talking to mostly targeted individuals who watch my channel, so I don't know why I always act like I'm talking to a bunch of non-targeted individuals. But so I'm just going to read this, guys. In targeted individuals, you'll understand what's going on. And I'll make a couple of little editorializations, but there's a bunch of different articles that I want to show y'all. But as long as I put them in the description, you guys can come and check them out. And this just completely vindicates what targeted individuals are saying. And we know that so there hasn't been much coming out about this, about these consumer products in the last, couple of decades. But we know, right, even non-targeted individuals know that whatever's coming out in the consumer market, and it's proven, this is proven stuff, and people will have those headsets and be connected to their computers or their game stations or whatever, that the military-industrial complex already did it, and already did it way more, and has way more sophisticated stuff. So this is a vindication. This is a vindication. I got a big thing with vindication. I don't know if it's a human flaw or we need to be vindicated. Like, we've gone through so much torture. At the very least, we need to be vindicated. We need justice for what's been done to us, but at the very least, vindication. People understanding that we're telling the truth, you know. A recent University of Toronto Scarborough study was able to roughly recreate faces shown to subjects based on their brain activity. So they could read their brain activity and recreate faces. Faces are pretty detailed and unique. 13 subjects were shown 140 faces. Electroencephalogram readouts were processed by an AI algorithm developed by the scientists and produced blurry but recognizable copies of what the subjects were shown. Excuse me, guys. Researchers are certain they'll soon be able to recreate faces from memory alone, a feat that has obvious law enforcement applications. Let's go to another one. I'm going to put this in the description, or you guys can get it from the video. My video still going? Okay. Let's go to let's go to this one. Actually, yeah, let's go to this one first and read a little bit of it, and I'll put it in the description. I just want to keep this short and go through all the articles, maybe not read all of them, but just show you that this is coming out in the mainstream media, all these consumer products from and this is the story this from Newsweek, May 28th, 2019. So it's kind of a deluge. It's coming out, it's rolling out, all these consumer mind reading technologies. What's going on? Or, you know, they can't have these consumer mind reading technologies running parallel with victims of the torture whose minds are being read and remote neural manipulated. They can't have those two things going on at the same time, because people with these consumer technologies will be like, yeah, my headset at home does that, and you're telling me that the military industrial complex is doing that to you non-consensually. So what's happening here? I'm not sure. I have some guesses, but it's hopeful in a lot of ways. Now, this technology that can actually push signals back is bad, and there's some evil repercussions. I won't be getting one of these headsets. I may try and think of ways to use this technology to interfere with what our attackers are doing if this program isn't stopped, but you know, I won't be buying it for entertainment purposes or anything like that, or convenience purposes, which is what they sell. All this stuff that's so dangerous, it's so convenient. So from Newsweek, new mind-reading technology recreates digital images of what you're thinking, by Aristos Georgiou on 3/2/18. I guess they're just posting it, maybe. So this is the story. The mainstream story. Dan Nemradov left, and Professor Adrian Nestor Center have developed a technique that can harness brainwaves gathered by data to show how our brains perceive images of faces. And they didn't create this. Like, they didn't independently create this. Maybe they did. Maybe they independently created it from other information that was already out from the military-industrial complex. But it's not like they figured this technology has been remotely used in way better ways than these guys are using them. So I'm I'm more than suspicious that this little team of people didn't create this. They've agreed to trickle out and say, hey, we thought of this little trickle out thing for the technology so we can have a good cover story, just like the Apple computer, you know, people in their garage or whatever made it. But it's just not true. So a lot of this stuff is created by the military-industrial complex for many, I guess millions of dollars back when Apple computer was created, but trillions of dollars nowadays. This technology is mass manufactured. DARPA's working on new neuromorphic chips, which I'm gonna make a video about it. I really want to make a video about it, but I wanted to hit on this and just show you all these articles. Put the articles in the description. I don't think I'm going to be able to read all the articles because I'm trying to keep my videos kind of short. I'm not going to go over an hour. Whatever I get to, and then I'll put every article in the description for you guys to look over. But you guys see my point, right? All these articles are coming out, all these new Facebook and Google and these guys and MIT. Oh, we can do mind reading now. We can do mind reading. Why is it? Something's happening when they're trickling it out like this. Good for us. Bad for the public. Bad for the public who's not being directly targeted, because I don't trust any of these devices. But this is hopeful for us because they can't run these things parallel because people will understand they're already out in the consumer market. So their perception of how far away this is closer, and so they will believe us. Well, people are believing us anyway. It's a remote neural manipulation thing and a conditioning thing that's been done to me over many years, of why I'm like, because I've tried to get help and I can't get help, and it's taken a long time to get my mom to believe me. So I've been conditioned to be like, I know this sounds crazy, but it's really true, and it's just like, I think a lot of people know. They just can't do anything about it. So I have to work on that. But it's been many years of conditioning me into being like, oh, I know this sounds crazy, and oh, I know people think it's crazy, but we're not crazy, and we need to stop doing that. I've said that a million times, but it's hard to break conditioning sometimes. Conditioning over many, many years and remote neural manipulation over many, many years, it's hard to break through it. We can do it. We can do it and use defenses to make it easier, but it's tough. It's tough. So mind-reading machines may sound like they belong firmly in the realms of science fiction, but they may be closer to reality than you think. Researchers have developed a technique that can produce a digital image of what a person is picturing in their mind simply by reading the electrical activity of their brain. And my attackers, let me say, I mostly targeted individuals probably watching this video, but please try and get these articles out or show them to people that you want to believe that this is happening. I think it's a slam dunk. It's here. The consumer products are here. They're trickling out. This can be done remotely, though, and it can be done with actually implants and things that are in our system as catalysts already and on our skin, which none of these they're not going to say, oh, well, this has been done by the military-industrial complex for a long time. We're just bringing out this to the public. We're just giving the public these little crumbs. We're going to give them these little crumbs, and then we're going to smack them over the head with the real technology and how far we've advanced. And we'll try and kill them and control them with the really advanced technology and how far it's really advanced. But we'll throw them some crumbs to get money from them. They'll buy it, But that's very important. So let me read that again. Researchers have developed a technique that can produce a digital image of what a person is picturing in their mind simply by reading the electrical activity of their brain. It's interesting that, okay, so they're saying this team has developed it, which is BS, is total BS. This is a lie. This is propaganda. This is the cover story. This is a cover story for trickle out technologies into the consumer market. It's a cover story. So these guys are operatives, for no better word than I have, but they are connected to the military-industrial complex. They're probably universities that work with some of these contractors, and they agree to be part of the cover story so the public is unaware that these technologies have been used to experiment, torture, murder people for decades. As part of a new study accepted for publication in the journal eNeuro, a team from the University of Toronto Scarborough UT used a non-invasive test known as an electroencephalogram, which is usually used in a diagnosis of brain tumors, epilepsy, and other conditions, to record this electrical activity in participants who were presented with visual stimuli on a computer screen. The researchers hooked up the volunteers, 13 healthy adults between the ages of 18 and 27, to the EEG via electrodes placed on their heads. They then showed the participants the faces of 140 individuals one by one on the computer screen while recording their brain activity. So we heard about this in that other article that I just read. They put that in the article. Let me read the next paragraph, but then I think I want to move on, and I'll put all of these in the description. I just want to show y'all how much is out there about it. Finally, on a computer installed with special machine learning algorithms, The team recreated images of the faces that the participants were looking at using the data recorded by the EEG. Essentially, the algorithm searched for brain signals related to the mental image that the volunteers were holding in their mind and reproduced it as a digital image. Digital image, right? Machine learning refers to computer systems that can adapt their programming according to the data that is fed to them without being explicitly reprogrammed. Digital image is important because, like, that's what's happening when I say there's a remote platform of people. Now that translation of a visual into a digital image is important because our attackers have monitors and they're going to have a translated digital signal showing up on those monitors. Now Brian too says that it's like a chip and it's a virtual thing. I think that they're remote platforms and they're shift workers. But the digital image thing is important. That it's translated from an electromagnetic, like a electrical brain activity, to digital image. And that can be done to us remotely. So that digital image part is very important. So related, scientists captured a single thought traveling across a human brain from start to finish. So I'm not going to read that. I want to move on to we'll show those, but at first I want it to go to. Actually, let's go to this first. Okay, mind reading headset lets you Google with just your thoughts. Okay. And this is from New Scientist. It's from April 4th, 2018. There's some more recent ones, but you gotta subscribe to this New Scientist, and I haven't done it yet. However, a lot of their technology articles are just so like about mind reading headsets and stuff. I might get a subscription to them. I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. I might try and find the information elsewhere. But mind reading headset lets you Google just with your thoughts. A mind reading device can answer questions in your head. It works by picking up signals sent from your brain when you think about saying something. Now look at the headset. Like it's around his ear right there. Goes down because you're making imperceptible muscle movements with your jaw, and then with your down here with your throat, and then with your mouth. And little imperceptible muscle movements being read. So by Chelsea White. Silently think of a question and I will answer it. That might sound like a magic trick, but it is the promise of alter ego, a headset that lets you speak to a computer without ever uttering a sound. It's not quite a mind reader, but it is close. The device brings us a step closer to a world where we can interact seamlessly with machines. I don't want to interact with machines. I want to use them as tools. I don't want to be part machine. I think it's dangerous and it stops the organic evolution of the mind. Once we start depending on machines to think for us, our mind stops evolving. This is the human race. All this stuff is so dangerous. It's an attack on humanity. Everybody fight this stuff. It's not cool. It's not going to be neat. It's not going to be neat at all. It's going to be the dumbing down and the de-evolution of the human race and the evolution of AI and computers and machinery. It is. It is. Interact seamlessly with machines using only our thoughts. Alter Ego's creators believe that rather than embarrassingly saying things like "Okay Google" or "Hey Siri," and I can't read the rest, but let's see if we can see another article with the headset. So, mind reading devices can now access your thoughts and dreams using AI. We can now decode dreams and recreate images of faces people have seen, and everyone from Facebook to Elon Musk wants a piece of this mind-reading reality. And they're going to get it because they are connected to the military-industrial complex. So the military-industrial complex, the DoD and the CIA, the DIA, DARPA, they decide who this is trickled out to. This is a system, a pyramidal system, where none of these people are just randomly getting this technology. They're chosen to get it. Ooh, that was like I was in slow-mo to myself in the camera. Okay, so let's read a little bit of this. It's the one that I have to subscribe to, by Timothy Reville. I feel like a cross between an Olympic swimmer and a cyborg. On my head is a bathing cap-like hat dotted with electrodes, and a cable dangles behind me. David Ibanez and Marta Castellano from the neuroscience company Star Lab, and you know from like from the Flash, Star Labs, you know, and there's really a Skynet. I think that they do that on purpose. I think that these real companies that are creating some of this stuff, they take these fantasy companies from comic books or movies, and they intentionally name their companies these things to give people that it's like a predictive programming, like they're going to be the good guys working on this technology. Skynet, I don't know why they would do predictive programming with that, because we all know what happens in Terminator. I'm not sure, but okay. From neuroscience company Starlab, look at me from across the table at their headquarters in Barcelona. As the sun beams in through two giant windows illuminating the plain white room where we sit, I am trying to hide my nerves, but wonder whether that is even possible while wearing a device like this. These may be humble surroundings, but Ibanez and Castellano are about to try to read my mind. Excuse me, guys. For decades, neuroscientists have been trying to decipher what people are thinking from their brain activity. No, they haven't been trying. They have been. It's been happening for a long time. It's been happening to me since maybe since I was 20. I know 8 years ago, definitely, because I knew I was targeted then, but it may have been done way before that. A lot of other targeted individuals, this has been done for 30 years, and they know it's been done for 30 years or their whole life. For decades, which may be people's whole life in some 30 years, maybe people's whole life in some circumstances. For decades, neuroscientists have been trying to decipher what people are thinking from their brain activity. Now, thanks to an explosion in artificial intelligence, we can decipher patterns in brain scans that once just looked like meaningless squiggles. Nobody dreamed that you could get to the content of thought like we've been able to in the past 10 years. Maybe these people actually believe, I don't know, maybe they've been lied to by the military-industrial complex, and when it trickled out, the military-industrial complex says, hey, we just figured this out or something. I doubt it. I think these people are liars. I mean, I pretty much know that. Yeah, they're liars. Says Marcel Just at Carnegie Mellon University in Pennsylvania. Researchers have already peered into the brain to recreate films people have watched and decoded dreams. On targeted individuals remotely, they can actually put dreams into the brain. They can actually put visuals into the brain. So this article is not going to say, oh, where there's a possibility of monitoring something, there's also a possibility of injecting it. They're not going to say that, but that's these convenient things. We've got to be careful about them. They've been using these things to torture and rip apart targeted individuals' lives for so long. And they're just showing it as being convenient, They're just showing it as being convenient, and it'll only read, right? It won't write, and that's not true. It will write. It won't just read. It will write. Anything that goes one way can go the other way with signals, with brain signals. Okay, now the world's biggest players in AI are racing to develop their own mind-reading capabilities. No, they're not. It's already been created. The military-industrial complex, CIA, DIA, DOD, the Pentagon, through all these contractors and subcontractors connected to universities like Carnegie Mellon University, and then hospitals, a lot of hospitals that do non-consensual implantation that work with these contractors. They've already been doing this for such a long time. There's no race between these companies to do it. That's a lie. That is a blatant 100% lie. These companies like Elon Musk and let's read the next part. Okay, so Microsoft, the U.S. Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, which is DARPA, and Tesla's Elon Musk all have their own projects underway. DARPA has already figured this out, and targeted individuals are being hit with this stuff remotely because it's mass manufactured. it's mass made. There's so many targeted individuals in the world. So this technology, these remote platforms that can actually induce dreams, that can inject dreams in people's mind, remote neural monitor people, read their inner voice, inject inner voice, read inner voice thoughts from the language center. Also, they've been doing it for a long time. It's not just being developed. DARPA already figured this out a long time ago, and it's been mass manufactured. That's how it's used on so many targeted individuals, because it's a mass manufactured technology, mass manufactured by contractors like Lockheed Martin, and other contractors like Boeing and stuff like that. And there's many other ones. A whole pyramid of these Frankenstein baby monster military operations hiding as private contractors. I'm like I'm slow-mo. Like, I hope that, are y'all hearing me weird? Maybe it'll play back. Like, I'm doing stuff in the screen far after I do it in real time. It's probably that. It's probably that video playing right there. Okay, this is no longer just a case of seeing parts of the brain light up on the screen. It's translating electrical signals to digital, so it comes out on a computer screen. And that's what these remote platforms have. Okay, so let's see what else. Let's go to. I had some other stuff I want to go through. Not today. Okay, let's read this one. And then we'll go to the Facebook one. Yeah. Okay, first I want to show you this, and I showed this on my live stream, so bear with me, guys, who came to my live stream. This is a scientist putting electrodes around the throat and the jaw to get actual speech from just sublingual, subconscious speech. It'll come up here. My computer's been going really slow today. I've been sleeping with my computer on, like listening to Dave Case's CD and some like soothing rain sounds on YouTube. And so when I leave my computer on all night, my attackers just slow it down so much. They do things. So I tried to restart it, but it looks like they've done something to make it really slow. They're just always working on my electronics around me and always hitting me and stuff like these have been giving me a lot of relief. But and I'll talk about this more. I may just make a video just talking about an update on this. You can't use it all the time. I try and use it like when I'm up, but you do have to take a break. It's not like it hurts you or anything, but it is a little electrical impulse. And I don't think it's good to use just all the time. So you got to use it for a couple hours, then a couple hours off, a couple hours on, and it's not really. I guess it's having a little bit of a cumulative effect. It really disconnects. Like last night. Well, I'll talk about that later. It's really working though. It's really working well. It gives me relief, and we're gonna find even more stuff that gives us relief in the future. But let's take a look at this.
Electromyographic signals.
This is from TI Evidences 2012. I guess I'll just go ahead and make this video long, guys. I can't, I have so much information that I want to show. Oh, it's 8:10. Ella's call's on. Okay, I might kind of wrap it up in the next 10 minutes, but I want to show you guys this. This is from TI Evidences 2012. So please go give this a like. Please give them a subscribe. They have tons of great informative videos about targeting. TI Evidences 2012. You see it right there? TI Evidences 2012.
Signals are picked up by electrodes planted on the skin.
The electrodes basically look like this. They're tiny little pads, much like you have in a doctor's office. So if she said the future out loud,
the future,
we have the signal that's corresponding to that muscular activity. But with subvocal speech, she doesn't have to move her mouth. She could say that word silently. So she would say the future silently. Here she said the future, but she didn't move her lips. And you can see that there is still the same signal being picked up by the electrodes underneath her throat.
Once the electrodes capture the signal, they can be transmitted, as if through a cell phone, to someone with an earpiece receiver.
So the newer sensors are the size of a dime. and they're going to continue to get smaller. And they're not very distant.
And he's not saying, there's a lot of other great stuff on this video too, but you know, he's not saying that it's like they don't need sensors. If they can put an electromagnetic field around that area, they can sense stuff like that. And also, in like, you know, I'm pretty sure that targeted individuals, if you're getting remote neural manipulation, you've got electromagnetic fields around your head, and then you've got focused electromagnetic, a bidirectional stream of electromagnetic frequency energy that creates photons to do deeper brain stimulation. But these fields around the head are what can pick up our inner voice. Now they can, with that bidirectional stream of electromagnetic energy that creates photons, they can actually get a signal from your language center to read your inner voice thoughts. So there's two ways that they can pick up what our inner voice is going to be. One way is this, which I think they use pretty much all the time. It's their fallback. And when their signals are really clear on their remote neural monitoring of you, then they can get, you know, they can get that from your speech center. So there's two ways they can do it. But there is no need for electrodes anymore. And for a long time it's been that way. And they're not going to come out and say that. They don't want to give the public too much knowledge. The military-industrial complex, they don't want the public to have knowledge. They'll trickle out little breadcrumbs if they can make money from the public, or if they can maybe get a little bit more insight into something that they need to, you know, steal and keep, but they don't want to give out all knowledge, you know, because they want to use it to murder people, to murder citizens and stuff like that. And they have to be stopped. They have to be stopped. So let's go maybe just one more, and I'll put all this in the description, guys, so y'all can go and see it. This was a good one. Okay, let's do this. This is from 2000, I think 2018, was it? Let me see. Facebook launches moonshot effort to decode speech direct from the brain. Now that's interesting. That's an interesting term, moonshot, because Project Moonstruck was by the CIA in 1952, which was kind of like one of the first programs of non-consensual implantation, with microwave signals being sent to that implant to send signals to the brain and the nervous system. So look up CIA Project Moonstruck. So moonshot is kind of a little, I think it's a little bit of a wink and a nod to how all this started. Facebook launches moonshot effort to decode speech direct from the brain. Can the social media's giant's bold claims live up to the hype? By Larry Greenheimer on April 27th. So this is from 2017. They're further along, but Facebook isn't launching an effort. They're going to be trickled out the technology needed from the military-industrial complex, from these contractors and subcontractors. Totally excuse me, guys. Excuse me. So it's not gonna. They're not gonna have to. They're not making an effort of how to do it. They don't have to figure out how to do it. It's already been done. It's already being done, like without electrodes and without headsets and things like that. So whoever's in the military-industrial complex, that Facebook has people that are compartmentalized within Facebook, that get information from them, that get technology from them, and then can trickle it out in consumer markets to beef up Facebook, to get it more people on Facebook, and also to do social engineering with the social media platforms. These are not like I use YouTube and I use Facebook and I use Twitter. These things, these consume, and there's like little compartments within the CIA and within many agencies in other countries, and they buy up these social media platforms so that then they can run tests and collect information and do what they want. So they're deeply connected to the military-industrial complex. Google, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, also because YouTube's owned by Google. So they are using these things against us. We have to use them to get the information out, because it seems to be one of the only ways we can get it out, other than going and doing rallies, getting out on the street. We have to do that too. We have to use them, but they are being used for social engineering experiments on people. And they do use a lot of, there's a lot of mind control on social media platforms. I've even experienced it with YouTube. with with getting you to like oh my getting views up, and on Facebook you click this and it gives you a dopamine rush. It took a long time for it to happen to me, because I was going through all the other targeting, but it messes with your head, and it kind of shifts what you think is valuable, and they can control what people think is valuable information and what people do not think is valuable information. These things are there's really bad manipulation going on with social media platforms. But I'm not going to get into that right now because I use one and I appreciate that I can get information out on YouTube. So we have to be wary. We have to be aware that the deck is stacked. The game is rigged, very rigged, and we got to punch through a lot of this stuff. So can the social media giants' bold claims live up to the hype? As if Facebook wasn't already pervasive enough in everyday life, the company's newly formed Building 8 Moonshot factory is working on a device they say would let people type out words via a brain-computer interface. If all goes according to plan, and that's a big if, Building 8's neural prosthetic would strap onto a person's head, use an optical technique to decode intended speech, and then type those thoughts on a computer or smartphone at up to 100 words per minute. Now, it would be an optical technique. It would be it'd be light. It would be photons. Now, photons are created with electromagnetic frequencies, so I'm pretty sure they would be using electromagnetic frequencies to do it. There may be newer news out about this, and I was looking for that. If anybody has newer information on this Project Moonshot, the Moonshot Factory, or Facebook's the device that they're going to use, please put it in the comments below. But let's go on with the article for a little bit. I think I'm going to go ahead and end it with this, guys. Wow. Oh, my throat is so dry. Okay, here it is. Okay, this would be an order of magnitude faster than today's state-of-the-art speech coders. The use of light waves to quickly and accurately read brain waves is a tall order. Photons, right? Electromagnetic frequencies produce photons, but I guess photons could be independently used. I'm not sure. I guess a bidirectional stream of photons or light can be used to decode certain areas of the brain. I'm just not sure. I'm not sure if in some of our situations they're using a bidirectional stream of electromagnetic frequency, and then in some protocols they're just using light waves, bidirectional stream of photons. I'm not quite sure. The bidirectional stream could all be photons. We just need more information on that, and this gives us some good information. Yeah, I might have to quit after this one, guys. The use of light waves to quickly and accurately read brain waves is a tall order, especially when today's most sophisticated BCIs, which are surgically implanted into the brain, can translate neural impulses into binary actions. Yes, no, click, don't click, at only a fraction of that speed. Still, Facebook has positioned its Building 8 as an advanced research and development laboratory launched in the model of Google's X, the lab behind the Waymo self-driving car and glass augmented reality headset. So it is no surprise Building 8's first project out of the gate proposes a pretty far-fetched technology to tackle a problem that neuroscientists have been chipping away at for decades. Here's how the proposed device would work. The BCI will use optical fibers to direct photons from a laser source through a person's skull into the cerebral cortex. Now, I think I'm 100% sure that's in a lot of our protocols is targeted individuals. With functioning electromagnetic fields, we've got this photons, this bidirectional. You hear Brian too say it a lot. You've heard Robert Duncan say it a lot. Now, but I do know that electromagnetic frequencies produce photons, but I guess it could be photons. I got to learn more about electromagnetic frequencies' relation to photons, but this is what would be the bidirectional stream for us doing deeper brain stimulation, visuals, and things like this. So this coming out and telling the public this is how they do it, it gives us insight into how they've been targeting us for so long. So these are good things. It's good that these consumer products, it's bad, but everything's bad. So if we can stop this program, that's good, and then we can work on the bad stuff about all these consumer products coming out. I don't know. You know, it's everything. There's a lie and a deceit in everything that's coming out. But this is good for us about this program coming out and people understanding that this is happening, and for us to understand more about exactly the details of what they're using so we can defend it better. And then we can use some of these little gadgets that are coming out from our experimentation to actually defend. That's a very hopeful thing for me, because I'm already kind of doing that with this electrode direct transcranial stimulation. I guarantee you was built on the backs of dead people, of people being experimented on with psychosurgery, brain stimulation, and experimentation done by MK Ultra and the DoD throughout the years, even up until now. I guarantee you this device came out of that. So, you know, we got to use what's coming out off of our own, you know, our own torture and a lot of people's deaths, which is a horrible thought. So let's move on. Okay, to direct photons from a laser source, so a laser-guided photon, a laser-guided bidirectional stream of photons. Remember that. Through a person's skull into the cerebral cortex, specifically those areas involved in speech production. The BCI would sample groups of neurons in the brain's speech center and analyze the instantaneous changes in the optical properties as they fire, says Regina Dugan. Regina Dugan, head of Building 8, works for Google, and they just say it. They say it here. Okay, I thought I was going to have to expound on this. Says Regina Dugan, head of Building 8, and a former executive at both Google and the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. So there's the proof. And I think we all know it. We all know it, but I want to just show that's the proof that Google is connected to the military-industrial complex. It sucks. This sucks. Light scattering through the neurons would reveal changes in their shape and configuration as the brain cells and their components, mitochondria, ribosomes, and cell nuclei, for example, move. Okay, so maybe we can read a little bit more. Building 8's BCI would measure the number and type of photons bounced off of the neurons in the cortex and send that information wirelessly or via a cable to a computer that uses machine learning software to interpret the results. So they've been doing this a long time, and targeted individuals have been talking about it. They've integrated weapons platforms. They're sending frequencies and bidirectional streams of photons to our brain, and then it's sending a return signal. So we've been talking about this. Vindication. Okay. That interpretation would then be typed as text on the screen of a computer, smartphone, or some other gadget. The speech production network in your brain executes a series of planning steps before you speak, says Mark Chevalier, Building 8's technical lead on the BCI project. In this system, we're looking to decode neural signals from the stage just before you actually articulate what you want to say. Now, think about it. How'd they figure that out? They'd have to have rigorous experimentation on people's brains and their speech centers to know what the next word's going to be. And that's what they've been working on for decades and decades. Decades and decades. Decades and decades, from like 1950. And now they're trickling it out into the consumer market through obvious people that are bridging the gap between the military-industrial complex to Google. See, Google is pretty much the military. It is. Why am I even, I'm even brainwashed a lot. And I'm like, well, Google is kind of like attached to, it is the military-industrial complex. I even have brainwashing and conditioning. Well, I especially, I guess, have brainwashing and conditioning from remote neural manipulation, and then, just everything else, all the other brainwashing that non-directly targeted people are going through. But I will fight through. through the brain conditioning. So what is it? Okay. In this system, we're looking to decode neural signals from the stage just before you actually articulate what you want to say. Because the researchers are focusing on a very specific application, speech, they know the prosthetic sensors must have millimeter level resolution and be able to sample brain waves at about 300 times per second in order to measure the brain's speech signals with high fidelity. Dugan says this isn't about decoding random thoughts. This is about decoding the words you've already decided to share by sending them to speech production. So it's the words that bubble up, your inner voice, what you're about to say. But it could also read under that. You know, this is a lie. It's a lie where they're saying, because they don't want to tell people, hey, this can read your inner thoughts, because it scares people. So they lie and they say it's just the words that you're ready to share. They use these semantics that are a lie to try and calm people. You know, they think about what they're going to say on this stuff and plan it very long term. Like, we can't say these words because the public will get antsy about that. But there's just the stuff is just too evil and it's too out there, and it's been going on for so long that it's all their little plans of saying the right politically correct words have failed, and they failed terribly, and it's all coming down. It's all coming down in a good way. So this isn't about decoding random thoughts. It's about decoding the words you've already decided to share by sending them to the speech production center of the brain, she says. The brain's speech centers usually refer to Wernicke's area, speech processing, and Broca's area, speech production. The latter then sends output to the motor cortex to produce the muscle movements that result in speech. Chevalier and Dugan position the project as a potential communication option for the large numbers of people who suffer from amyotrophic lateral sclerosis and other conditions that prevent them from being able to type or even speak. Furthermore, Dugan points out that interface would also offer a more fluid human-computer interface that supports Facebook's efforts to promote augmented reality. Even a very simple capability to do something like a yes-no brain click would be foundational for advances in augmented reality, Dugan says. In that respect, it becomes a bit like the mouse was in the early computer interface days. Think of it like a brain mouse, like your brain could move your mouse on the screen, like my mouse right there, or my brain could close this window or something like that. And targeted individuals have been talking about a neural society and how everything's going to, in these experiments done on us, it's an angle of it. An angle of it is how do we create a neural, how do they, I'm saying as them, how do they, you know, because I'm definitely not on their side. How do they create a neural society, which I think is the worst thing ever, because that's when what comes in is the brain stops organically evolving. When we are using, when the tools that we use start telling our brain how to work, start thinking for us, our brain stops working. It stops working out, like your muscles and stuff. So it's like, you know how a lot of humans are flabby and fat and skinny? I'm not talking about me. Definitely not talking about me. But you know, it's like when you stop working out, when you've got all these conveniences that can do things for you. And so you're not as strong. Like the cavemen back in the day had to be really strong. You know, they had to go out and hunt for their own stuff. If we become a neuro society where everything is done for our brain stops organically evolving. It is a very, very, very bad thing. It's a bad thing for humanity. It's a bad thing for our evolution and strengthening humanity. It'll strengthen technology. Technology will be just evolving rapidly, like, you know, Terminator, and then it'll kill us. So, all right, guys, I think that's going to be it. I'm going to go ahead and put these articles in the description. But it's good. It's hopeful. It's hopeful that these consumer products, that they're talking about this stuff, and it's coming out, and it's matching what target individuals are saying. Now, they're not coming out, and they're not saying that it can be done remotely. That would scare people too much. And that should be scary, and we know that it scares people because targeted individuals try and get help, and it's just so scary that normal people don't want to believe it. So that's why these people haven't come out and said, well, we can do this remotely already, because they know that it scares the public. and it should. This should scare the public because the next step is for consumer products having remote connections, which they're already doing non-consensually to targeted individuals, which targeted individuals already know about. All right, guys, I think that's going to be it for today. I got some more information. Oh, that's not too bad. 1 hour. I'm going to try and shorten them down, put all the information in one spot on all the videos so it's not too long, but I'm still going to, I'll still do some long videos. Can't think of anything else. I don't want to read the rest of this article. I think I kind of made my point, and then I'll just put the articles in the description. Yeah. All right, guys. I think I head over to Ella's call. I just go into free conference call and I put in TI Angel 2016. I get on there from the computer, so free conference call, and then her code is TI Angel 2016. I don't know the phone number, but if any of you guys like want to put in the comments for people's later use what her free conference call number is, y'all can do that. But I think I might hop on over there because I just woke up, and they may be talking about that video. They may be talking about the video that Matt put out. All right, guys. Yeah, I'll be putting out some more information pretty soon. I have some stuff that I wanted to talk about. I want to go back to that MIT article about the functioning MRIs that are created by transducers, and then there's a stream of ultrasound, which is a mechanical energy. It's not electromagnetic, like I say. I was wrong about that. Future knowledge corrected me on that. It's a mechanical energy. So for MIT, they use functional MRIs with ultrasound, which is a mechanical energy, to manipulate the brain. Now with us, it's going to be different. They're going to use. That's why I know that we have electromagnetic fields being used around our head, but then it's the bidirectional stream. Is it just photons? Is it electromagnetic energy? Is it electromagnetic frequency that creates photons, and that's what they're using? But I know that it's not good for us. It's not like just a mechanical energy that does not harm the brain with thermal energy. What they're doing to us harms our brain, and so when they're coming out with things at MIT, they're like, oh, we're using ultrasound, which is a mechanical energy. It's not a thermal energy, so it won't damage the brain. With us, they don't give a shit, and they're experimenting on the brain, seeing what they can make us do. This is a big angle of it. Consumer products and all this stuff is a huge angle, but it's not. There's a military angle, there's a medical angle, there's a consumer market angle, there's a just controlling people angle. There's a full spectrum dominance angle using military, medical, and consumer. Military industrial complex. So, all right, guys, I love y'all. I hope y'all got something out of this. I'll definitely put the articles in the description. I hope y'all are doing good and staying strong. There's a lot of hope. Now, if you ever thought about speaking out or making a channel or maybe going to a rally, on TI Day, now's the time. Now's the time. All right, guys, I love y'all, and I'll see y'all on the next one. All right.